And this is Norwood Stanhope, my model who's disappearing. And my friend Bob Barber is videotaping the whole thing, which is a really great thing, I think.
Are you going to be selling DVDs?
Oh yeah, $1 million each. He actually gave me the one he did last week, and it was fantastic. I couldn't believe it.
Why isn't it for sale?
I just wish he could have made me a little, 10 years younger. It would have made me real happy. You know, you always think, you know, when you're in the mirror in the bathrobe, you don't see this, and ambient light, and it wasn't, I know, but he doesn't know Photoshop to do that with a video. So, but I am what I am. And what I am is an artist, and I love it, and I hope I make you excited about portraits. This is the second in 6 parts. Last week was pencil, and this is Guido Costa, Kathy's husband in the back there, who I don't think he's here right now, but he posed for me, and I didn't have a picture, but one of our members, Kathy Richter, took a picture after, and Guido is smiling, and he's in a different position. So a few days later, when I went to work on it again, I said, oh no. So this is, I brought it anyways, because it's an example of what not to do. You have to have an exact duplication of your model. If your model takes a break and goes back, you have to have it in the exact same place. The lighting is different, the color is different. Of course, here we're not in color. But as you can see, he's smiling. He shouldn't have been smiling. His angle is different. I couldn't even do his ear because there's almost no ear showing there. And I need his ear. And when I do a portrait, after I'm finished with my initial part of it, I put a little sticky on the front of it. And as I walk by, I like to keep it in the kitchen on the counter. And as I'm walking around doing things, it catches me by surprise. And I either say, wow, I really nailed it, or wow, what was I thinking? and when I do that, I write a list. Now in this list, I have finish ear, refine shoulders, revisit highlights, t-shirt better. I don't like the way I did the t-shirt. I had to make it up. The lips, I've got to make sure I got his lips right. The left nostril, I made that up based on this picture, and I know that nostril was almost missing when he was posing. And right pupil, I couldn't get, he looks like a cat eye close up. I couldn't get the black to adhere to it, so I'm going to have to revisit and scrape some of that charcoal off. And hopefully he won't have that evil eye, because close up it looks like an evil eye. But anyways, I brought it just to let you know this is what not to do.
Looks great.
So, yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I am working under pressure, and sometimes I'm better under pressure. But right now, I'm going to start off by telling you that there's water in the back in the kitchen. And we do have bathroom facilities there. Our water is very rusty. It looks a little odd, but everything is clean. So feel free to use any of our facilities. And if you have questions, I'd prefer you save it to the end, because we really have to book. In an hour, I got to get a lot done in an hour. And in about a half hour, we're going to take a 5 or maybe 20 minutes, just a 5-minute break. I need a break, and I have some stuff up here maybe you want to look at and get inspired by. There's some pastel, which is going to be our next session. Once we get into color, that is where the excitement really comes in. Black and white is fun, but you know, you can only get so excited over it in a 1-hour demo. But color you can get excited about. So there's some pastel up here. I believe I have, well, I guess I don't have any oil paintings up here right now. But you're welcome, and during the 5 minutes, to come up. Don't come up that way, because that's all blocked. So come up this way around here if you want, and you can take a closer look at what I've done. I'm going to just do a quick map of the face for those of you who are real novices. Just a quick map so that you know the approximate placing of the eyes, nose, and mouth, and the shape of the head. And then I'm going to do an eye. I feel that the eye is the most important thing in the whole process. It is the portal into the soul. There is so much going on in the eyes. If you do a so-so job on the nose and the mouth and the hair, but do a dynamite job on the eyes. It still makes a wonderful portrait. So those of you who were here last week, you know the routine. I'm going to do the face, I'll do an eye, and at the end of the 6 sessions, maybe I'll line all the eyes up so you can see all the different mediums. But as for my tools, this is a charcoal pencil. It's nice and dark, and you don't sharpen it. You can if you want. You could use sandpaper. Oh, I'm not able to. There. You just peel it off like this, and it exposes a nice big lid. I'm peeling off too much, so I'm probably going to break the lid. Yeah, I'll be breaking this lid, so I'm going to break it right now. And I have, this is actually pastel, it's not charcoal. Charcoal would work a little better in this demo, but pastel is pretty close. And I have some other pastel pencils here. Vine charcoal. This is wonderful even for oil painters to outline your subject, whatever you're painting. It erases really easy. On a mural, we're just about finished in Vero Beach for the city, and we use this to sketch out palm trees and all that, and it's so easy to erase. Comes right off, and it leaves just enough residue where you have your image. But I tried using it for oils. It gets into the oil paint a little bit, and I like a brilliant color of oil. I don't like black mixed in at all, but it is a good way to draw out your subject without getting pencil indentations or anything. So anyways, I'm going to get started. The face. Those of you know who are know this basic rule, but you do the egg shape, and you always do it lightly. Of course, I'm using a dark one here, but you do it lightly, and don't commit to your lines until the very end, until you get your eyes all in the right place. And straight line down the middle, and the eyes are straight in the middle. Now, not everybody's the same, but as a general rule, your eyes are going to be right in the middle. I know it doesn't look like it, and as I mentioned last week, Native Americans have a shorter forehead, so the eyes set up a little higher in the skull. But basically, the eyes are like this, and you almost, once you get the eyes shaped right, you almost could fit 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes across. In a general rule, there's as much space between here as there are the width of the eyes. And of course, you know, everybody's different. But to just get you started. And the bottom of the nose would be halfway between the eyes and the chin. And the mouth would be halfway between that, as a general rule. And this would be your orbit that you'd base a lot of the musculature around here on. But the actual eyeball is quite a bit smaller inside. But you're going to see a little bit of distortion because I am drawing at an angle. And any of you that are drawing along, this will be the last time you get to draw along with me if you brought something, because the next one is pastel and it'll just be too messy and you need too much room. So if you're drawing along with me, or if you draw at home, make sure your work is perpendicular to your eyes, because if you're drawing like this, you're going to get distortion. You can get really in the zone and be drawing away for a couple hours, then you put it up and your eyes are going up like this, and everything's elongated. So always put it perpendicular. If you're really uncomfortable with that, get it sketched out, hold it up. You're going to have to do that like every 5 or 10 minutes to keep your perspective right. Okay, now I'll take this off. I think I'll show you the eye in the actual mat. You should always, when you have whatever paper you're using, see if you can get a little scrap piece so that you can test out your materials on it and see what works and what doesn't. And then it familiarizes yourself with it a little better. Oops, I need to do this sideways. I'm just going to do a quick demo of an eyeball. Now, there's ways to do it. You know, you do the orbit and you make all these shapes, but I've done it so many times, I don't need to do all that. So I'm just going to do a nice big eye. This is the canthus right here. That's the canthus. Sounds professional. I just learned that the other day. Trying to impress you. And the eyeball, the iris, and the pupil. Now, another little tidbit. The pupil, you've heard about red eye. Well, red eye is because this is a giant hole. It's a hole into your retina in the back of your eye, and and then all that stuff gets translated into your brain, and it really is the portal to your soul and to everything we know about the world around us. But if you're taking a picture with a flash, the flash lights up the vessels in the back of your eyeball through this hole. That's why you get red eye. So, and there's a little trick that I think I've made up. I never read it anyplace. I never saw it anyplace. And when it comes to our oil painting demo, I'll let you all know about that secret of mine at that point in time. So be sure you come back for the oil. So this is the vine charcoal. This is made with willow, and it's cooked to a certain degree, and it's all a mystery to me. But the regular charcoal is from almost any kind of wood with a binder. The more binder, the harder it is. The less binder, the darker it is. Now, vine charcoal, it's very fragile too. Vine charcoal is a little more of a gray than the standard charcoal pencil. But I'm going to just get shadows in here real fast with my vine. See, this is a little bit gray. And I'm going to get a little shadow under the eyes. I'm doing this for time purposes because, I don't have that much time. So I will color this in a little bit more. And you could use your finger to rub things around, but if you're sweaty or your fingers are moist, it's hot in this room right now, I don't want to get any oil on it. So I'm just going to use a little rag just to move it around. You could even use a little brush like this to move it around a little bit. Let's see. I think I like the rag better. Now, with an eye, and with anything, it's all about the light. The lights and the shadows, and how well you can translate that. And you can get away with exaggerating it. You can exaggerate the light, and you can exaggerate the shadow. And it just makes it more interesting when you have a source of light. I usually have my light coming from, I use a clock for the instance. I usually have it coming from either 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock, or 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Maybe here I'll do 1:30. How's that? So I'll be a little different. So I will erase this, and the erasers, you could use a kneadable, which these are very kneadable, and the dirt just kind of disappears. See how white that gets? I just find that amazing. I know. I just used something the other day that Rita Ziegler suggested to me, this sponge that you just wipe it, it cleans anything. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I was in my shower. I've had it for about a month. I figured, I can't do it. I was going to throw it out. I said, I better try it before she asked me about it. And I went up. Everything was gone. It was amazing. I should be having stock in that company because I'm telling you all to buy it. Oh, you're right. You know me. I'm very easily excitable, especially if it comes to art, not to cleaning. I'm not excited over cleaning. But I think I will use my finger and see if on this, this is paper I'm not familiar with using. So, all right, so we have our light source here at, say, 1:30. And that This light source here, it can be round, it can be square. If your subject is inside a building, you might have a square light coming through there, a square light coming through there, a light overhead. But I just, for ease, for the sake of getting this done, I'm just going to do a circle. And when the light is hitting the outside of the iris, it's a crisp white light. If I was doing this white in oil, I would put a tiny, tiny little bit of yellow in it because it makes the white a little more opaque. And that's very crisp. But what happens down below here is it goes through that fluid, whatever the fluid is in the eye, the light travels through the top there, bounces off, just think of a marble, a semi-transparent marble. The light would hit the outside of the marble, travel through the glass, and then illuminate the bottom of the bowl, inside bowl of the marble, which would be right here. And you want soft edges, but you want it light enough to let the viewer know that there's a 3D effect going on here. Now I'll do the pupil. And the pupil is the blackest part of it. When I'm doing a portrait, I usually first I look at my subject and I look for the blackest black in his face. The blackest black is the pupil. That really is. And then under the nose, I see on Stan right on the corner here by his glasses, and the corners of the lips. And if you don't really see it, put it there anyways, because it gives the subject a little more character. As an artist, you have license to make it a little more interesting. You shouldn't make it not look like your subject, but you can make it a little more interesting. So this is the pupil here. And if I was doing this in color, if he had blue eyes, I might put the light in pink or lavender. Maybe not just white with a little blue, because that sometimes gets dead. But this will start coming to life very quickly with just a little coaxing. And there's usually a darker outer, I'm sorry if this is grating on anybody's nerves, but there's usually a darker ridge on the outside. I'm going to just go fast and try to get some darkness in here a little more. But with charcoal, once you start, I'm just doing an eyeball right now. But once you start doing the face, it goes fast because this is your medium ground. This is your medium color. So really all you need is to hit the lights and the shadows, because the rest of it is done for you. Now I usually shade around the eyeball just to give it dimension. And again, if I was doing this not so fast, I would be much more careful with my strokes. And I'm going to smooth this outside edge a little more, and this has to come out a little more. And then there's the eyelid. And eyelashes. And if your subject is close enough to you, you can indicate the bottom, the inside of the bottom of the lid. And many times when the eyeball is touching the lid, there is a highlight right here, a white highlight that is a reflection of the tears, the moisture in the eye. It's almost always the light catches it that way. So and it's especially when the eyeball is touching the bottom lid. But you can see that it's given some nice depth. And then you'd be shading the upper eyelid, like so. You almost ready? We'll be starting in a minute. But you can see that and under the eye, there's always a little shadow, and that gives it further dimension. Even in the eyeball, no matter how dark the eyeball is, you've got to indicate that there is shadow. But see the depth now? That was what, 5 minutes or so? It doesn't take long. So if you take your time with it, you can get dynamite eyes, even if they're maybe positioned a little off. At least if you use this principle, just remember the light is hard on the outside, goes through the liquid, illuminates the bottom of the bowl of the iris. Okay, now I'm going to start Stan's painting. Oops. When we have the break, you're welcome to come up and look at some of my unfinished work. There's a lot of stuff on the table here, and there's lots of pastels, which will be our next demo, and that's pretty exciting. That it's going to be a little bit of a push to get something decent done in an hour, but I'm going to try next week. So with Stan, sometimes I think I need your brush showing a little more. Tilt your palette so that I can see it. Yeah, and maybe, well, let me get your face first. And let's see, I think I need to turn you just a little bit. Want to get up for a second, Stan? I should have had this all set for you. I think I need to turn you like this. So, and then you look at me, okay?
Real good.
Okay. Yeah, because I want your body that way a little more. That way a little more. Okay. That's good. Look over at me a little bit. You could turn your head a little more. Like that. That's good. All right. Now I'm going to kind of map out his face. I'll do the face a little larger than I normally would for painting this size, just so that you guys can see everything I'm doing. And I'm going to concentrate on the face and not so much the body. Now, if I was doing an oil painting and was concerned with exact positioning, I would do a little line in here and here, so I'd know the face was going to be exactly in the right position. But in this case, I'm just going to get started. And Norwood, you have to put your head down, okay, like that, and your eyes looking at me, always looking at me. That's it. And let's see. Now eyes right there. Now he's not dead on looking at me. His face is a little bit angled, so I've got to allow for that. Eyes here and here. And his ear is about level with his eye. So now this is all, I'm not committed to anything. This is, I should be using my Vine Charcoal because I could erase it better. This is just a general shape. And hopefully I'll get it right. I just want to position his eyes, the eyeball, the irises, or pupils, I should say, about right. Okay, I'm going to go back to this because the Vine Charcoal is throwing me off. It's too dark. So, wrong one. Now, I have another subject with a white goatee. With white hair, there's a lot of contrast problems. So, but it won't be much of a problem with this because I have gray paper and the white is going to transfer wonderful on the gray paper. But it's the angles. Now, the angle of his nose is very important. Positioning. If you're doing a portrait and you want to get it exact and you don't want to go through this or you don't think you can take a photo, go to Staples, have it photocopied, get some graphite paper, and just transfer the basic parts of your image on it. Because that's the most tedious part, what I'm doing now, though I really like the challenge. But once you start coloring it in, whether it's with black and white or with pastel, that's where the fun begins. So, you know, if you don't want to take the time it takes to become a professional portrait painter, you just want to have fun or do your granddaughter or something, just go to Staples. Take a picture, go to Staples. You'll never get your granddaughter to sit still long enough anyways. So, okay, let's see. Now, these lines I'm putting in are, I know they're temporary because it's very hard to get it right the first go round. And you have also have license to take a few years off. I've never done a self-portrait, but boy, would I shave some time off with me. Okay. I know I'm too high on this paper, but that's all right. It's only a demo. I think he looks so much like a professional artist. He is a very good artist. You'll see his work in the back there. We'll have a little time before we kick you all out. And if you'd like to take a look at some of the artwork back there, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. There's some really good artists back there. And we are a club, you know, we're not a professional art gallery, so there's all different levels of expertise. Many of us have been self-taught, and so we've learned from others in the club, which is part of the reason why you belong to a club. You can learn. You can have a good time, make new friends, help out, which we're always needing help in the Sebastian River Art Club. Always looking for hands, even if you don't want to be an artist. We need help. So maybe you're good at a computer, or maybe you're good at greeting people, or helping set up for our tent shows. Incidentally, on the welcome table there is an agenda of our shows, the shows in the Art Center, what's going on, the demos. Feel free to take a copy, and my business card is there too. And there's also orange and yellow, I think, little tags that with the address of the Art Center blog and my portrait blog. If you want to see all my portraits, they're right there on the blog. There's probably over 100 of them. Many of them aren't in my collection anymore because they're gone. But I love painting Indians, so those are hard to move. So I still have a lot of my Indians, but I do show them once in a while. And I still paint Indians. I love the faces. It's my favorite thing to do is portraiture. So and interesting faces. I would love to go to Tibet and do some of that culture's faces there. I have a friend who goes to Tibet and fabulous artist. Now, Stan's eyes are a little small. He's at that stage of life where his eyes are a little smaller. As you get older, they get smaller. Once you get into your 50s, they start getting a little smaller in size. And it's just part of life. Got to roll with it. So, there we go. Now, Stan, I don't know how this happened, but Stan is a little farther from me than Guido was, our model for last week. So, and speaking of age, my eyes aren't as young as they used to be, so I'm going to have a little bit of difficulty, but I'm having a good time. This is my favorite thing to do. You never know it. I never seem to get to things in my studio, but once I do, I can't go to bed. I just stay up and I paint or draw, or I get in the zone and I forget it's 2 in the morning and I have to get up at 7. And most of you artists know what I'm talking about. It's not just about painting pretty pictures. It's about enjoying your life and having such a good time all by yourself. There's not too many things you can do by yourself and have a really good time. But there's also a lot of fun in doing plein air painting, you know, going outdoors and painting with other artists, getting their feedback, and seeing light the way it really is, not by a camera. Now, these glasses are wrong, but that's all right. I got a starting point. And I think I have his ear a little bit too high. See, once you connect one part of the anatomy with another, you realize, oh, I got the eye in the wrong place, or the ear is too low, or whatever. So I got to bring that ear over a little, which means I've got to cut that off, and I wonder if I can get this off here. If I can't, then there's all kinds of tricks. I just do some shading all the way around, and or put the white all the way around. There's always ways to correct. I don't care of anybody throwing a piece of artwork away because they made a big mistake. There's almost nothing that can't be corrected. So don't throw your work away. I'm going to take a little more. The charcoal does not last long, so you're constantly unrolling. It's okay. Now, I'll go another 5 minutes, then we'll. I'm going to put this in real quick, just so I can get some stuff started, some contrast, and then we're going to take 5 minutes, and only 5, just to get up, walk around, look at some of my work here. But I think I could commit to that hat. I think the hat looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. A little lump here and a little bit more here. And here.